Across South and Southeast Asia, what we've seen is that countries are getting more ambitious with their climate change targets. And for that, attracting private sector capital is really going to be the key. Blended finance, which is the use of development funding in a very strategic way so that we can alter the risk return profile of the projects and really bring the private sector money at scale, is going to be very critical. But without the stronger enabling environment, the right policies, the right frameworks, the right institutions, and the institutional capacity, the data, the pipeline, it's going to be very difficult to scale blended finance. It will often remain fragmented and it will keep happening on a deal to deal basis. And the strategic framework for blended finance, which has been co created by UNDP and Convergence, is really trying to attempt to change that. So essentially, this is basically not a linear framework. Countries can pick and choose the pillars that they want to work on, depending upon their market maturity and institutional capacity. So, in a nutshell, it is the practical toolkit and not a prescribed path.
Thank you, Ritesh. I think, you made a very important point, one about fragmentation, and the other is that it is not linear. And for UNDP, this framework is really critical. Different players and different stakeholders need to play their role. Government in terms of reducing the policy barriers, facilitate the financial institutions to have mechanisms and regulations that help bring in investments and concessional finance. And then it is up to the financial institutions and the investors to de-risk the investments. And also reinforcing the point that you've made, and because Asia Pacific and globally as well, we know that countries are very diverse in terms of maturity of the markets, as you were saying, in terms of the size, in terms of political dynamics. So countries can adopt their approaches as per the national context. From the Climate Finance Network perspective, we are already helping, and you would know that the Climate Finance Network is being supported by the government of UK and government of Sweden. So we're already helping countries and the ministries of finance in putting in place the ecosystem that we are talking about. But then downstream, how do we make sure, and that's what we are helping in, to make use of those policy changes? How do the financial institutions make use of whatever has been put in place by the governments, and also strengthening the capacity of the MSMEs and the growth stage enterprises to access finance. And we know that because of climate vulnerability, women and certain areas are really prone to financial risks. So that's where the financial institutions and concessional finance can help provide access to finance for these vulnerable communities. So in essence, our objective is simple: moving from policy to capital deployment, and from individual deals and transactions to sustainable investments.
We invite country governments to read this publication on the strategic framework for blended finance, which is created for you with your inputs. So we look forward to hearing more from you and see how we, both UNDP and Convergence, could support you in your journey towards scaling blended finance in your country.